For years, Dubai didn't just sell a skyline, it sold a belief. A belief that rules could be rewritten, that gravity could be negotiated with, that debt could be stretched so far it simply stopped mattering. A city that rose out of the desert so fast, so flawlessly, it almost felt engineered to defy consequence. And that's exactly why what's happening now feels so unsettling. Because when something built on perfection starts to crack, it doesn't whisper, it echoes. Look closer, not at the postcards, not at the glowing towers, but at the silence between them. Because beneath the glass and steel, something has shifted. The numbers are no longer telling the same story. Transactions quietly falling. Billions in value fading without headlines. Entire luxury districts beginning to soften, then slip. What used to feel unstoppable now feels hesitant. And hesitation in a system built on constant momentum can be dangerous. Step inside what were once the most untouchable addresses, and the mood has changed. Properties that once triggered bidding wars are now sitting longer than expected. Some slipping in value, others simply ignored. Investors who once rushed in are now watching from a distance, calculating risk instead of chasing returns. And that subtle change, from urgency to caution, is often where cycles begin to turn. But here's where it gets more interesting. Because even as demand cools, supply doesn't slow down. Towers still rise. New launches still flood the market. On paper, it looks like confidence. In reality, it may be something else entirely. Now, the developers aren't just building because they want to. They're building because they have to. Because stopping means exposing the pressure underneath. Because in a system like this, momentum isn't optional. It's survival. And so the offers become louder, more aggressive, more creative. Luxury apartments bundled with cars, payment plans stretched across years, entry barriers lowered just enough to keep the machine moving. It sounds attractive until you ask the obvious question. If everything is so strong, why does it need to be sold this hard? Walk through parts of the city at night, and you'll notice something you weren't supposed to notice. Towers that shine on the outside, but remain dark within. Windows without life, floors without residents, entire sections of wealth that exist more on paper than in reality. And when a market begins to rely more on investors than actual inhabitants, it creates a fragile balance, one that can shift very quickly when confidence disappears. Because that's the real engine here. Not oil, not tourism, not even real estate. It's confidence. And confidence, once shaken, doesn't collapse all at once. It fades, quietly, gradually, until one day the absence becomes impossible to ignore. At the same time, something else is happening just across the border. A competitor that doesn't need to move fast because it already has what Dubai built its identity around: scale. Saudi Arabia is no longer watching from the sidelines. It's entering the game with deeper pockets, bigger plans, and a domestic market that changes the entire equation. And suddenly, Dubai isn't the only option anymore. It's just one option. And for global companies, that shift matters. For investors, it matters even more. Because capital doesn't stay loyal. It moves where the future looks clearer. And right now, the future in the region doesn't feel as concentrated in one city as it once did. Meanwhile, for the people actually living inside this system, the equation is becoming harder to justify, costs rising, stability feeling less certain, the realization that no matter how long you stay, you're still temporary. And when the middle layer, the professionals, the long-term residents, begins to thin out, something deeper starts to erode, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough to change the rhythm of a city. And then there's the part few people want to talk about: geography. Because for all its ambition, Dubai sits in a place where global tension isn't theoretical, it's nearby. A narrow waterway that carries a massive portion of the world's energy. A single disruption that doesn't just affect the region, but sends shockwaves across continents. It's a reminder that some risks can't be engineered away, no matter how advanced the skyline becomes. All of this feeds into something larger, A question that doesn't have a simple answer. Was Dubai a model of the future? Or an accelerated version of something the world has already seen before? Rapid growth, rising debt, expanding ambition, followed by a moment where everything slows just enough for the cracks to show. Because beneath all the spectacle, there's a financial reality that doesn't disappear. Debt doesn't vanish, it matures. And when the pillars supporting that debt, real estate, tourism, external capital, begin to lose momentum at the same time, and the pressure doesn't stay hidden forever. You've seen something like this before. Maybe not in the same place, not with the same architecture, but the pattern feels familiar. Systems that look strongest right before they're tested. Markets that feel unstoppable until they suddenly aren't. The kind of shift that doesn't announce itself loudly, but changes everything once it's underway. And that's what makes this moment different, because nothing has fully broken yet. The lights are still on, the towers are still standing, the image is still intact. But underneath it, the questions are getting harder to ignore. Is this just another cycle, one that Dubai has navigated before? Or is it something deeper, a structural turning point for a model that relied too heavily on speed, spectacle, and belief? Because if the illusion begins to fade, it won't just change how we see one city. It may force a much bigger realization about how modern economies are built. What truly sustains them, and how quickly perception can shift when reality starts to catch up. And when that happens, the story isn't just about Dubai anymore. It becomes a warning. As the lights continue to shine across the skyline, the real question may no longer be how impressive it all looks, but how long it can truly hold. Because history has shown us something again and again. When a system depends heavily on confidence, perception can change faster than reality itself. And once that shift begins, it rarely announces itself with a warning. Maybe Dubai stabilizes, maybe it adapts, restructures, and proves its critics wrong once again. Or maybe what we're seeing right now is the early stage of something much larger, something that won't just reshape one city, but challenge the very idea of growth built on speed, spectacle, and endless expansion. What makes this moment so fascinating is that we're watching it unfold in real time, not after the fact, not through history books, but right now, while the outcome is still uncertain. So the question is simple. Is this just another phase in Dubai's rise, or the moment everything begins to turn? If you found this breakdown insightful, stay connected for more deep dives like this. Share your thoughts below, like the video, and pass it along to someone who should see this perspective. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because the next story might challenge everything you think you understand about how the world really works.